The boys Marc, Lambourne and Aaron Macey will making my debut.
Welcome.
I'm very excited to be part of the team.
More hair.
Well, geez, I'm not getting. I wouldn't say exactly that. But,
right, wait till he gets into spruik mode.
Yeah, well, I think we can leave that to a little bit later. But it's not a bad card at Rosehill Gardens tomorrow. We get to see the return of a stakes race in the Expressway Stakes. We've got a couple of good 2-year-old events in the Canterbury and the Widden. First of all, Marc, what's your thoughts on the track and the all-important weather?
We've not raced for 4 weeks at Rosehill, so that's fairly critical. And we've got sultry conditions, stormy weather. There's been enough rain to just soften the track at this stage. If there were no more rain, it'd be getting close to good. But obviously, storms are predicted this afternoon, so it's a wait and see on the weather. A true rail with murky conditions, you're not really wanting to be hard fence. You're probably wanting to draw mid-wide.
Yep. Aaron, how have you assessed?
I did the exact same thing. I said the same in the preview. It's going to be hit and miss with what happens with the weather, so you kind of just got to wait till tomorrow morning and see what happens. But I think mid to wide draws are what you're looking for, and if you do have an inside draw, you're going to want a smart jockey to get off.
Well, yeah, jockeys are the key, unfortunately. Well, fortunately or unfortunately. I mean, the fact is that you get a guy like Jay McDonald on a wide track, and he's the guy that can get you home from gate 1. So
yeah, you can have other riders that can have mid draws and end up on the fence.
But don't do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we've got only a small field in the opening event. This is a 1500 metre race. Start Wondering $1.70. You've got Marinostro at $3.20. Great Esteem $7. Kaleidoscope $9.50. Zazali big odds $17. Hippopus $35. There's not a lot of depth in this event. Is the favourite just winning?
Well, he's very appealing, isn't he? Certainly, as far as the map's concerned, you'd imagine that Gay's stayers will use this for practice. I reckon that Zazali will be cranked up from wide gate to try and lead this field. Obviously, Hippopus, first up off a long spell, will be doing his best trying to keep up. Hello. Hello, Kaya. And obviously Marinostro posies up. Great Esteem raced with success on the speed here 2 starts back, and Start Wondering has the option of either being there or maybe just taking a trail. Kaleidoscope going back to last. Look, it is a problem with these high grade races that we tend to get tricky field scenarios, but you'd have to think that Huey will make no mistakes here.
Well, it was interesting speaking to Chris Waller after Start Wondering's recent trial. He said the intention in the trial was to ride the horse cold because that's how he wants him ridden at his next start. So small field here is obviously not going to be too far off them, but yeah, I'd imagine negative tactics are going to be employed in the small field, allowing him to settle and then hit the line, stepping up to 1500 metres. And if that happens, like you said, he's got a superior turn of foot to, then the horse is in front of him and he should be too good.
Well, there's a classic, but there's a classic. You look at the second favourite in this race and you go, I mean, he gets away with races. He is a wet tracker, but gee, he's an ordinary beast, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, I think this horse, it looks like he's got that good, possibly good one, potential ability. He should just be too good for them. You've got 2 horses that are here for a practice. Great Esteem beat him when the other horse, when he had favours, the other horse was wide. He goes forward, he wins, he goes back, he wins. I think the $1.70 is almost a gift. I don't like taking the shorts, because if there's ever a time to take the shorts, I think it's him.
Most likely firmer?
I think he's got a firm. The only way I see him, another horse firming in the race, the rain comes, you get a heavy track, and the people try and for some reason think that Marinostro is going to be able to beat him on a heavy track.
Well, he does get Jay McDonald Marinostro, but he said things tailor-made for 2 months.
I just think it's better.
Great Esteem can't go a yard if the rain comes, so it needs it dry than what it's at the moment. I think its chances completely ruled out on wet ground or anything sort of damp, because we saw it beat Start Wondering last time, but I can't see it again on the likelihood of a somewhat rain affected track if we do get that rain this afternoon. But, anyway, I don't think we need to spend too much more time on the first event.
Let's get the favourite.
We'll get to the second, which is the Tab Highway Handicap, and well, a favourite here, Hermosa Beach. She was very impressive at Randwick, I thought, a fortnight ago, and Matthew Dale's record in these country races has been quite solid. She's around the 270 mark. You've got Istanbul, who gets a significant weight turnaround from when they met last time at $3.20. The only other horse really in the market's Halfpenny Gate. Then we're starting to get to double figures the rest. At Halfpenny Gate there at $5. Do you see this as a race, Mark, where those three are likely to dominate?
Certainly betting wise, although I'd suggest there could be interest in wider runners. We're taking a race from Randwick 2 weeks ago that both those horses had things tailor-made. I mean, you know, they both set off the pace, they both came down the right section of the track. I mean, Hermosa Beach has got a nice looking record, Istanbul not so. I would be inclined to oppose them both tomorrow, simply because
They had the beautiful run.
yeah, they had things going for them, and I'm not sure. Whilst Hermosa Beach is lightly raced and perhaps has some scope, I'm not sure that Istanbul is necessarily anything out of the box.
He's not exactly genuine either. Like he does have a tendency to be a little bit slow out of the gates. It doesn't look to be an abundance of speed in this race from what I could see. I thought Halfpenny Gate coming off that midweek run was probably the way to go. I was keen to take on Hermosa Beach at the price, significantly going up in weight with that weight turnaround for Istanbul, who gets that opportunity.
Yeah, I'd see Istanbul, the factors around Istanbul tomorrow being a drag on the favourite.
I thought Halfpenny Gate's run was great the other day because it's come up Warwick Farm. It was on the inside. It was the unfavourable part of the track that day. They were coming down the outside, and I probably just went night catching run. She was also I wanted to be on moving on. He's a horse I wanted to be on moving forward. I quite like this run.
Anything out of the market that you can see running a race?
No, not really. I thought they did look the three, but I do have a question. Pre our little break, one thing that you looked for in these races was city form. Now we've seen more of it. Is that what you're generally looking for the viewers?
Yeah, look, I given that these races are restricted to country horses only, it makes them a provincial race. That's what the race is. So any decent city form should stand up pretty well in this race, and I'm certainly in number one's camp, bar the fact that he's drawn gate one, which, you know, for an off pacer, a sit and sprint horse like this, I'd prefer not. But nevertheless, he's done everything right in terms of preparing him for this race. Third up on a 10-day backup, blinkers on, all good. There's only one other horse that I'd like to mention, and that's the bottom one, which is currently $101. And the reason I want to mention that is because this trainer is from the Pat Farrell school. He was, of course, Tim McIntosh used to be apprenticed to Pat Farrell, and it's such a 0-1 school of training and running.
Get their opportunity once.
Anyway, so this horse was sort of bumbling about, and then he looked to do a bit of work in his win at Tari last start. I see Tommy very engaged, and I think the horse will be on the speed. So he's a horse that I expect will do better than his price may indicate. But anyway.
Anything else to add?
No, not particularly. I was quite interested to play the top one on each way basis if I could.
Rightio, moving on to the Canterbury Stakes. We've got one horse here above the minimum weight of 54.5 kilos, and that is Tessera, a winner a fortnight ago at Randwick on a wet track. But a lot centres around the horses who are coming to this event on the back of some spruik trials, you could say. Defcon, $1.95 even money for Brent Navdella and Team Snowden. You've got Star of Monsoon for Gerald Ryan, who trialled very well, I thought, at Rosehill recently at $4.20. Then you get out to Tessera at $5. Mount Panorama, who started odds on debut a fortnight ago and probably had excuses at $7.50. Then you get out to Guard of Honour, who I thought did try quite well at the provincials at $9.50. Marc, what are your thoughts, first of all, with Defcon?
Well, look, his early season trial was bloody good.
Yeah.
And then you've got this typical Snowden setup. I don't know how they get them to look so bad in their trials, but they always trial, but you're looking at them going, I know they're better than those trials, because his two trials back have been. So I've gone looking for him, but Jesus, I was stunned to see him evens, because
Off the two.
well, you know, it's a bit of a race. Look, I thought that the O'Shea horse went very well into the start. Clearly there's a big rap behind Mount Panorama for it to have started as short as it did on debut, because it didn't really grab me off what it had done in the trial, but you know,
there was obviously some market confidence from someone.
Yes.
I think it's overspruiked, and I know it's kind of been forgotten about in the prices in comparison to what it is speed, but I looked at its run. Yes, it was in the wrong part of the track, but God, he still gave up like a brick balloon against some of those lesser horses.
He was in the worst part of the track there, back on the inside, missed the kick, and
for such a highly spirited horse, I'd still like to see him do more.
Anyway, I think you'll find he'll be double figures here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anyway, DEFCON is a $300,000 yearling. I think that obviously is 340. Yeah, Guard of Honour's 300. And Brent mentioned him. He zoomed.
He's got to be the best trial I've seen in the provincials. Like, he was just a standout. Like, I know he's probably trialling against far lesser horses, but he just looked outstanding. He had such a beautiful action. He looked strong. Looks to do everything right. It seems good odds to me here.
And the Gerald Ryan horse, it was jagged back. But do you see it sort of being let go further forward tomorrow?
The way I'm looking at this race from now is, I don't know if I can even have a bet in the race, because I'm going to learn so much more from it. Then in the next couple of runs, that's when I'll find value in having a bet. I don't see value in the even money DEFCON, but I don't really want to take $4 Starve Monsoon if DEFCON comes out.
I know what you're saying. You like DEFCON, but you can't take that price in this race at question mark.
There was still merit in his trial. Like, he was a little bit slow to begin. He worked around the bend, and when they come, he did hold them. I think he will be a horse, as we saw in his first trial with the cold. I think he's going to be a better chaser. He's going to be better on top of the ground. So if the rain comes, that could be a slight question mark.
Where do you see him being in the run here this way? Because clearly number one will get out solidly.
Yep.
The Chris Lee's horse does look to have speed, genuine pace, the Northern Meteor horse. I see Star of Monsoon from his gate being prominent.
He's probably got to try and follow Guard of Honour across and maybe sit 1-1 if he can, but it all depends on how he begins, because he was a little average to begin in that trial, and then it took a few strides for the jockey to really sort of get him going before he worked around the field.
He gives me the feel of a horse that could be like a blinker horse, or maybe he's just a horse that will improve with racing and learning experience. But I think he'll jump. Brenton will just assess. If he jumps well and he shows enough speed, he'll try and cross, and if not, he'll probably... I'm assuming they're going to try and take a sit behind one of these horses and get a trail in. And the fact that the fence is probably going to look off, they're not going to be too concerned about doing it.
Any thought on Pewter, who was touted early?
Yeah,
and
Larry Connor's good horse.
Yeah.
I thought its trials were quite disappointing.
So it's tapered off. So we were saying started well, and it trialled last October, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought its trials were fair. I thought there's a couple of these horses look quite nice. The other horse of Gerald's I didn't mind. I thought his run was quite good. I think 1100 will still be too short again, but drawing a gate might allow him to try and be ridden to show a little bit more speed.
Sierra and Macey Ruffy.
Yeah, right.
I
thought his
one
run
for
was
the girls?
No, I think it'd be one for maybe more next up, but certainly one to follow moving up in distance.
Okay.
Anything else? I think we can move on from the Canterbury Stakes.
Well, it's an exciting race, and I think it's the race of the day, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
The fillies event, the Widden Stakes, I thought this was a much more competitive race. Well, the market suggests that anyway, because we don't have a dominant favourite. So Serene 460, Agnar 460, then you get down to Honesty Prevails at $5, Chapanda at 7, Kentucky Miss 7. They're basically the main chances at this stage, and you've got a couple of roughies there who've also been quite okay at the trials. I couldn't, well, that's what you'd want to expect from a Group 3 fillies race heading towards a Golden Slipper. But for me, the trial that I was most impressed with was the filly from the Rick Worthington stable in Honesty Prevails. And what I did like about it was the fact that it was a 1,050 metre trial at Randwick. It was a genuine test. A lot of these 2-year-olds come off 730, 800 metre, 900 metre trials, and they can show speed and zip along. But this was able to ride the speed and then accelerate in the last 100 and still to have plenty up her sleeve. I thought she was... I think if she was trained by Chris Waller or Gay Waterhouse or John O'Shea, she'd almost be $3.50, $3. That was the way I was reading this event. I think you can get a bit of overs because she's prepared by Rick Worthington.
I think you're right. Look, $750,000 yearling filly. She's been really impressive, but she's from a yard that you're expecting them to show near their best. So there's the yin and the yang there with Honesty Prevails, but I'm certainly in her corner. It promises to be a genuinely run race. You've got the short course winner Kentucky Miss drawn out. Obviously So Serene has been kept fresh since her 1,000 metre debut, and she raced hard on speed on that occasion. Chapanda showed good speed on her debut, and I'd expect Honesty Prevails to be at least on speed, although I'm looking at her pedigree and I'm thinking for a horse that's run the times that she's run, she's going to start losing that early pace.
Her sister Aerobar, I think she's younger sister of Aerobar, she was a sort of up and run type two-year-old at the time with Gerald Ryan at that early stage, so she looks to have quite a bit of size. What did you think of the trial of So Serene?
Well, it doesn't look any good, but no. You remember her original trial? No good. And she goes to the races and she acquitted herself.
I'd say that's funny. I disagree. I thought her first trial was very good.
Well, you remember us talking about that trial, and you saying you'd backed it.
I'd backed it, and I thought she was from what we'd seen at the time, one of Gay's better 2-year-olds, and I liked it on the day. It was big odds in my opinion. This time I don't think she has trialled rather that good. Gay seems to have this amazing way of the horses going like this and then coming out the races and going like Burnborough. Whether she can still do that, I think Gay's starting to turn the corner. A few of the horses are starting to go.
Well, I hope so.
Well, they've gone on for so long.
Well, these carnival times. Yeah, but the other thing is, she goes away for a month. Like, she needs to come back.
The last time, she hadn't seen any good horses when they sat for a while. So I do think they've turned the corner. Look, I didn't like her trial, and for a horse that was 20 to 1, almost 30 to 1, I think on the fair on debut, I can't find her as short as she is. I thought the horse that seems big odds as could have been Tracy Bartley. I think she should have won last start, in my opinion. Things didn't go right. The horse that did beat her has since come out and won again. Bigger field, suited here, wide gate, shouldn't be an issue, should be able to get a bit of cover. Still look to have improvement. I think she's big odds at $15, I think she is now. I think she should be at least be half that price, at least.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
There we go.
The horse that I missed, and I don't have a feel for, but others may twist my arm, is Agner, who was well beaten in the Millions race at Wyong, but I suppose you're entitled to be well beaten by Capitals.
Her recent trial, I thought, was as good, probably just a touch off Honesty Prevails. The way I see these ones that have been to the trials recently and going into this race, I thought she was very brilliant. She looked to have So Serene covered, who we touched on, who appeared to have a bit of a flat trial, and from that I couldn't take 460 about her when there was 460 on offer about Anya.
Right.
Is Kentucky Miss the forgotten?
Just one thing on that,
possibly.
That's why I'm finding this race very.
If I'm having a bet in a race, I want to be on something small bet at big odds. Because Agner, one thing about this Agner, first time I saw her, she looked a little bit skinny. She showed something that first trial. Every time she goes to the trials at the races, she seems to improve. Okay. But just on her trial, the one that I caught the eye was the one there down near the bottom as well, Smart Amelia. Was slow to begin, worked its way up the inside, and then was kind of held to the line. I thought its trial was. It did look a bit green. It's rather well bred. James seems to always have one of these fillies that seems to go alright. I thought she seemed big odds as well.
Yeah, well, he's another trainer that can make them look quite slow in the trials.
Yeah.
Again, we learn a lot more out of this event.
Well, you know, it just doesn't stop there, does it? I mean, this Chapanda was in the slow lane on debut in $150,000
and what was its SP? $1.60.
Started at $1.75, and the stablemate trialled in what looked a hot trial at Rosehill. I speak of non-pareil. It looks a wild card to me. You've just mentioned Kentucky Miss, who did everything right on debut at home, but looks like a horse that's got a bit of scope.
Yeah. Even the bottom one, Sprite's trial good. I know it's at horse, but it looked a big hinge, looked nice action. Maybe not up to the top one of these, but I thought the trial was big odds. Look, my only thing I can really comment in the race is I don't want to be on So Serene at $4.50 or whatever price. And around that mark, would have to be far longer for me.
I'm having one bet in the race, and that's number 2.
Yeah, on that.
Rightio, we move on to race number 5. Here we have River Wild, Blinkerless, $2.20. Really dominates betting for this event. You got Den Magic at $5.50, Nakoko Scratch from Melbourne to run in Sydney at $6, Lucala at $7, and then you get out to Water Diviner at $11. But River Wild was quite dominant the 1200 metres with the blinkers coming off last start after a disappointing run fresh. Is he a horse who can start to build through the grades even with the 61 kilos here on Saturday night?
Well, I mean, he gets a perfect race, doesn't he? He's had 2 runs at 12, he goes to 14. He's got the barrier to control the race. I just didn't want to get too keen because his run at Rose Hill was a bit flat and his 2 runs back at Burnett Randwick. But I mean, maybe that doesn't matter. Yeah.
I think he was just so tuned up for that first up run last time at Kembla that when he come to the races.
Well, the two times he's won, he's had no blinkers. The 2 times he's been defeated, he's had blinkers on. So I don't know what we read it with. I think we've got to read something into that.
All right,
the blinkers.
You're saying that.
I'm saying he was very impressive on debut at Kembla. Blinkers went on next start, failed. First up, failed with the blinkers on. Blinkers come off. He's a different horse. Blinkers stay off. I'm thinking I don't know if there's a lot of depth to this race.
There's not very much depth.
Look, I think the horse Haraku looks a nice horse, but he's definitely looking for further. He trialled.
Well, he did debut at 1550.
Yeah, he did debut at 1550. The fact that the track could be wet, I think, could play into his hands because it will play that little bit more testing. Then he does get the blinkers on. He could be one. Maybe.
All right. So sorry, where are you standing with the favourite? Firstly,
it's by far the horse to beat. But
do you want to back him?
Well, I think he's here about 6-4 now, or even slightly shorter. I think that 6-4, I could be on him because I think he'll start closer to evens, if not maybe even in the red.
Is there anything else in the race you started with
the other horse that I'm a little bit interested in could possibly be Nakoko, because I think the horse that's run second to Patton from the good Melbourne. I know Potts, I think, is quite keen on it again this week. Little spruik to Potts there, flying, airborne. But I think the horse that beat him last start is quite good. He's always shown glimpses of ability, I think, Nakoko. He could be the danger with the horse getting the weight off him, but the rest of it, I don't think Miss Sydney's up to him. Lucala was a horse that I thought could train on this prep.
Huey booked first up.
Huey booked first up. I still want to see her do it. She's promised. She looks a horse that she travels on the bit. She could be one that scopes and grows into a nice horse, or maybe she could just be one of those ones that's up to you. I want to see her do it. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't really want to play heavily in the race.
Nakoko with the fitness edge interests me because I think from 8 probably goes forward along with River Wild.
Yep.
They probably look to control the speed, and I don't see a lot of opposition to them here.
No, well, I mean, imagine that Den Magic will go back from her wide gate given that she's coming back in distance.
Right or no speed.
Water Diviner will be there.
Yeah.
And Miss Sydney would look for a handy to midfield position. Look, certainly it's tailor-made for the favourite. I was just a little bit apprehensive. I had a small interest in Water Diviner, who I thought, ridden off the speed the other day, showed the capacity to run through the line.
Yeah.
But just looking at this race, if we were to say in a month's time, River Wild I can see being in a group race for 3-year-olds, whereas I can't really see too many of these others being in a group race, and that's
not over this trip anyway.
Well, he's weighted up to that with the 61. I just don't see a lot of other opposition here. Look, it's 220, 240.
I think Haraku's the only one that's going to be racing in black type, but over far further.
So,
yeah.
All right, so the favourite's hard to get through there.
Exactly. Yeah. Moving on to race 6, Stayers here, and we have the favourite being another Cocktail, who's looks pretty well placed, in my opinion, now third up, ready to show its best at the 2,000 metres. You've got Magical Stance, who's been narrowly beaten in a couple of runs in its recent starts. Hawthorne's Power at $7.50, Emerald City around that same price, Allergic at $8, White Dove at $9, Dance of Heroes at $9.50. How do you assess another Cocktail? Well, first of all, the speed.
Well, you know, you see these races on Saturdays and you just go, oh God, I'm so sick of these horses. You know, Dance of Heroes, how many times is he going to go round?
Yeah.
And you know, obviously there's others in that boat, but Magical Stance went back in distance and ran through the line the other day. He draws wide here and looks to have to go forward. I guess that White Dove will be looking to go forward. Frank Hu is an on-pacer that mysteriously ended up back in the field and lame the other day. Portland's Power obviously won't be far away, as does Dance of Heroes. So there's a few to go forward, and it does appear like the sort of race that's set up well for another Cocktail to get his chance.
Yeah.
Was it just simply the fact that he was staying at a mile that made him look so dour late the other day?
Well, Huey said that he felt like he didn't like the shifty track. I know that was one thing Huey said when he got off him. And watching him, there was two things. He's either he didn't like the shifty track and he's slipping around, or maybe he was just looking for 2,000 metres, 2,400 metres. The fact that he's up in distance, like Brent said, it's that Chris Waller goes good first up, can race a touch flat second up, steps up in distance third up, with time ready to win. I was quite keen on him on the bill, and I think up in distance here today, as long as not too much rain comes, because there is that question.
Well, if there is, I think you'll find he won't be running.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect point, because I don't see Chris Waller rolling the dice here, testing him on another shifty or wet track. He'll assess the surface in the morning. If he feels he's ready to run, I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
Right, and I think that's half a tip in itself, because if he's really not willing to throw the dice, he must feel that he has his horse right, ready to run a big race third up. So it's the horse I'm leaning to on top, if it is there running. With only, I thought,
you know, it's, there's nothing to get excited about in the rest, is there?
I thought award season.
He's scratched. He's going to do.
Oh, it's scratched. There you go.
Good to see you up to date with the scratchings there.
Aaron, he's been busy all day, you know.
We've had a busy morning.
Overworked and underpaid.
Exactly. Anything else really to add here? Like a lot of these horses, as you mentioned previously, Mark, it's a case of these horses again, and they just seem to be benchmark 80 to 75 to 85, not really progressing anywhere. Whereas another Cocktail form in Europe was 2,000, 2,500 metres, 3,000, 4,000 metres. So just off the base of that, you've got to think 1,600 or a mile here in Australia was never going to be a suitable distance.
And he should have won on
the fact that he was competitive fresh. 2,000 is probably still short of his best, but he has to improve off what he did.
Anyway, look, he'll be a horse of considerable interest.
I think if he runs up to his Australian debut, like his first Australian run, I think he wins here.
Rightio, feature event is the Expressway Stakes. We've got a small field here, only of 8. Short price favourite is the speedster Our Boy Malachi, resuming first up off a bleed. You've got General Life or General Life, whoever you want to pronounce it, $3.50. Then you get the mare Solicit at $5. She's very short in the market, in my opinion.
I think she's $7.50 also.
Yeah, so that's probably a better indication of her price. Then we start to get out to King's Troop, Big Money, Tiger Tease, River Lad, and the Big Ruffy in Forget. Does Our Boy Malachi have enough speed here, Mark, to clear the field and lead at his own?
He doesn't have to, does he? I mean, we've seen him sort of. He set outside OSL outside. Was it Craft? Not Craftiness. It was in the Hallmark Stakes.
Was it Hidden Warrior?
No, in the Hallmark Stakes, he set outside lead.
Yeah.
He's unbeaten in Sydney, but he is resuming off a long spell and a bleed. All right, you're a trial man. How's he trialled?
Well, his first trial was good. I thought the horses that were coming, it looked like he'd run his race on the line though. As much as he did go fast, he was there. He was never still full extended. But at the same time, once he got to the line, he's like, oh, I've had enough, and he really...
That was his first trial?
That was his first trial, and his second trial he missed the kick. Tommy knew this was just on Monday. Tommy knew he's racing Saturday. No need to knock him around.
Right, so it was just
to sit there. Now, coming off such a long break and the bleed, it's going to be a testing track that's not going to be favourable to leaders. If anything does actually push him, I can see him coming undone here.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of me looking at him in the field going, get on.
Yeah.
No.
And yet he's that sort of price, isn't he?
Certainly.
But I mean, look, I guess so Tiger Tease will certainly be in the van. King's Troop is the wild card as far as pace is concerned, drawn second from the outside.
Speaking with Gerald at the trials today, he said on the likelihood side that the horse will be scratched and saved for the Eskimo Crits. So that can add another little dimension to this event.
And what did he say about his mare?
He said I've got a sneaking suspicion that she's going better than people expect, or will run better than people expect.
Well, she's coming off a
dominant win.
Yeah.
He's wants to get her to Melbourne for the 1400. I think it's a CF4 futurity before coming back for the Coolmore. So
Jesus, what? So he's going down for weight for age Group 1?
Yes, that's where he's sort of solicit.
You get that feel just talking to him when he looked at. I know when she trialled that day, he looked at him and said, "This mare is going good."
Right.
And
so
I thought she was quite
12
short in
months
the
now.
market. Yeah, I thought she was quite short in the market initially, and then you start going through the race.
Well, General Leafe, he's the usual suspect. I mean, he looks to have a great chance. Of course,
Yep.
he resumed and won a similar type of race, although not under weight for age conditions,
Yep.
nearly 12 months ago in the Autumn Carnival. And of course, he's a horse that's often unlucky.
But he's either, if you look at this field and you say weight for age performer, he's the one to me that is probably the top of the pile. Is 1200 his best distance? I probably don't think so. I think it's probably a 1300 metre to 1400 metre horse. On the fresh side, nice trial recently leading in, but you've got to take $3.50.
He's the horse I had on top. It's funny, look, he's the one that's probably raced slightly better competition that hasn't won, where you've got our boy Malachi who's raced slightly lesser competition but has consistently won. So
They actually start at the same price in the BT sticker. Doom 10,000. I suppose that's 13.50.
But I mean, look, I would have liked to see King's Troop here and go forward and ask something of the favourite. That could change the race for me.
Is Tiger Tease big odds resuming here? I thought his trial was a little bit indifferent, but he's a horse who again has been competitive at Group 1 weight for age. Probably hasn't been at that elite level, but he hasn't been far off the likes of Chautauqua.
All the runs look all right, although there's no cop in them. There's no, they're all midfield or worse finishes.
I just wonder if he's still got the zest for racing. That's my question with him.
My thing like oldies.
I don't mind oldies. There's two horses at odds that I thought were quite interesting. One being Forget. Now I know it's very big odds. He does probably want further. Blake Shin was 3 from 3 on this horse last prep.
Okay.
And he seems to just be a horse. Blake has a knack for the horse. His runs at Rose Hill have been good. He's a horse that just kept getting better throughout the prep. And although his trials, his last trial is absolutely outstanding.
All right, yeah, I accept that $67 seems.
I think $67 you can have a penny on them for something.
Any plays here for you, mate?
Look, I'm interested in Solicit, but I saw her as a mare off a short break that would be cherry ripe. I'm always looking for mares in a situation where the males are first up, and he's such a fresh up trainer that she was my go-to girl there. I also wanted to investigate Big Money, who I felt was, he was completely unsuited in that 1000. We've never really seen much of him in Sydney, and he's lacking that Sydney form, but he's had the run back, and he's sort of a last man standing possibility.
He was just so sure. I did a Q&A with Rodney Northam, and he kind of said it was almost like another barrier trial. He's forward enough to win if things fall his way. He saw him walk out, he was super fresh, he was a bit burly, he was going to improve from the run, and it was just this is the race he set him for. I think he seems decent odds.
Rightio, it seems like we've wrapped up the Expressway Stakes there. Now we go to the 8th event, and we see Painted Firetail here second up for John O'Shea and the Godolphin team around that $3.50 mark. She is at the top of betting. You've got Miss Royale at $4.60, Solita, who's won her past couple at $7. And then we've got a pretty competitive field here. El Lou, first start for Chris Waller at $10.
Got musical stables here.
Chua Chua, $6.50. Any others we need to speak about there in the market? Karakuchi, $15. They seem to be the ones that are dominating betting.
This is really interesting because I mean I'm prepared to go with Firetail here, but I guess there's a tiny bit of me that wants to say she's a myth.
Ooh, wow! I'm almost saying. Just
come on, you love a declaration, Aaron. You think she's a Group 1 horse?
No, it's not. I'm starting to get that feeling a bit like you, Mark. But I look at this race. If she's ever going to stand up and show herself, she's just so well suited. I think Salida is absolutely airborne, but for her to win, she's really got to overcome a little bit of adversity here, in my opinion. Like
in terms of what have we got here? We've got Lucky News poking forward early, but Salida's certainly going forward. We've lost Orcerise, so that's positive in terms of the speed for Salida. She's going to be on speed.
I just hope for her the rain doesn't come too heavy. For Salida, she got through it the other day, but I think she's far better on top of the ground. She's a big, strong girl that's thriving. The horse that I want to put the pen through at the moment is Miss Royale. At the start I want to put the pen through her this prep. I do not think.
She's fresh only.
I don't know if it's fresh only. She's big. Something's not right with the horse.
She got beat.
I know she got beat a pimple. In my opinion,
slowly run race.
Yeah, I don't think she's 100%. I don't know what it is in a coat. I don't think. I know she's only been beat a pimple, and unless she blows at that current price, I can't be on her. And I think she really does want it rock hard dry. I don't think she lets down in the wet.
Okay, so what are you saying about the favourite then?
I'm quite keen on the favourite. She handles cut out. The run the other day, a lot of people, I wasn't on her first, so a lot of people said she was unlucky. I think she was unlucky in the sense that she come up the inside and she may have finished closer. I don't think she ever would have beat the favourite, no matter what run she got. I think she finished closer. I think she was going to improve from the run. She's back this prep. I mean, second up perfect. I think she's ready to rock and roll.
Everything's right. As far as I can see, she's all drawn
right.
I'm going to invoke the one word that everyone loathes on this show. She has no data.
I don't know what that means.
It means that the win, her debut win at Randwick.
Yeah, here you go. Here's the data. It's in letters, and it's called Stravigo, and he come out and won Burnborough 2 starts back, and looks a good chance in the last.
It's a good chance. I'm just saying that Painted Firetail has no depth to her form,
except she has.
But you know, she's found a perfect race here. So let's see what she can do tomorrow. Trois Choix is a lightly raced Joe Pride horse that's had a short break, and interestingly. Just goes up in distance, doesn't it? Raced 1300 at Randwick?
Yeah, 1300 at Randwick. So it goes up 50 metres from it.
50 metres off a break. Yeah, she attacked the line at Randwick, and she would be my danger.
It's only a short break.
Yeah, I have to let Salida go tomorrow. I think that she's been to well enough. Yeah. El Lou, she was tragic run 2 starts back and then went up for a Millions Mares race, which is not a bad thing. Chris Waller takes over with Omen booked.
Yep.
Possibly.
What price do you assess Painted Firetail, or where do you feel the market will
land up? 7 to 4.
Yeah, I thought she'd do. Yeah, I thought she could be start 6 to 4. I thought there could be a big plonk.
Another A Macey market mover.
I think she could be a really big go tomorrow. There's been a bit of money from, well, she was big go first up. Well, she was rock solid first up, and she's always been a spruik horse and one for the stables had the big opinion from. She's got the wet form. A bit of rain comes. If the horse that beat her comes out and wins impressively,
that's right. We've got River Wild to offer something.
Yeah, so if he offers that as well and comes out and wins impressively, I think she could start very, very short. Probably under the odds, but I think she could start quite short.
I quite like her in this event, being a 3-year-old filly who wouldn't surprise if she ended up in a feature 3-year-old race in the next.
So you're saying superstar, Brent?
I'm not saying superstar. I'm just saying she's got.
Because we hammer males in people on this show.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying superstar. I'm saying carnival quality. Yeah, filly with weight relief against older mares who are benchmark mares. She has the scope for improvement, in my opinion, and she gets her opportunity to show that.
So one roughie for the bolters, American time. I thought it the line quite well against the buyers. Could be
Another one for the ladies from our
one for the
Macey.
ladies.
Kaylin Nisbet.
Yes, Kaylin. Just run a cheeky place. I could see running a cheeky place.
Rightio, moving on to the last event, we have an 1100 metre race here with an abundance of expected speed from the way I see the race. Favourite here is Le Cordon Bleu coming back from the Gold Coast at $4.40. You've got Stravigo at 5, Saboog resuming at 7, Meersalt at 7, and a very, very intriguing runner. And first up for Clary Connors, my favourite at $6.50.
I have a feeling it could be my favourite for BZ.
No, yeah, a horse
Only
who's
739 days.
Exactly, a horse who hasn't raced for over 2 years, you can't be getting too excited about. But its trial on Monday, to me, suggests this horse is going very, very well. Hugh Bowman booked for Clary Connors. It's not a combination that you see too often, and I think this horse has above average ability. It's just whether he's going to be forward enough, fit enough, has a match fitness or match practice on his side to be competitive here, because I think he's any horse that wins 4 out of 6 in Hong Kong and has 2 second placings is a horse with decent ability.
He's obviously a genuine horse. Yeah. I think one thing with Clary, he tends to be able to have those horses quite forward. In my opinion, he seems to have his horses quite forward a lot of the time. I thought his trial was exceptional.
Do we know what went wrong?
No, I have no indication.
What's wrong with you guys? You're supposed to find this stuff out.
Yeah,
huh?
I have no inkling as to why the horse is in Australia, why it came from Hong
Okay,
Kong.
there's your homework,
Yeah.
Brent.
But do you agree there's a lot of speed here in this event, Mark? Well, Senator Nosh obviously.
Yeah, Senator Nosh. But Senator Nosh, yeah, he's become a problematic jumper lately. I mean in his last dozen starts.
Last dozen starts.
Mersu went fast at Gosford, sat outside lead, but is back to 1100. Saboog is fresh, and you'd imagine would push forward to try and either lead or no worse than 1-1. And then you've got sort of Stravigo underneath them, holding his spot, and Shadow Force doing his best to keep up. Happy Galaxy is fresh in a wild card. We only saw him at 1,000 or shorter last preparation. So it looks a pressure race if things
Develop.
Yeah.
Develop. Now, there's a couple of interesting runners here.
How do you see the market moving here? Where because there's been a bit of an early push for Stravigo. Does that continue? Is he the one back to 1100, barrier 1?
I think Stravigo's a bit of a pussy, but I mean he's got stuff working for him here. I concede that he's got a great chance, but there's something shallow about him that I don't like.
1100 metres, it's at pussy's distance as well.
Yeah, I guess
that could be where he's
probably the key
down
to
in
him.
the weight. Like it's a race where he kind of seems thrown in that. I think down in the weights sets up nicely.
Look, this is the bit of the yuck race for me on the program.
Well, what's going to happen with my favourite? Because he seems, for a horse that's had such a big break, he's also at the same time.
I think he'll be tucked in behind, maybe 3/4 of the way back through the field and looking to be working.
No, my point was more the market. What's the market going to assess of him?
Well, if he's a winning chance, he'll be backed, and if he's not a winning chance,
he'll be a $12 chance if he's got none. So I think the market will tell.
As much as he's looked great in his trials, he's also trialled against some quite low quality horses. So he's looked very good against them. But I love his trials, love his action. He's been put straight in the black book from it.
A Macey Black Book, there you go.
Macey
My favourite.
The cheeky horse, Joey Pride, Medal.
Yeah, what went wrong? What went wrong?
Yeah, well, I don't know what went wrong in the 2 runs, but if you go back 3 runs back where he's first up at Warwick Farm, it was a super return. He's got the blinkers on.
That's the point you make. Joe Pride is a trainer. The way I assess him, he doesn't often put the blinkers on first up. He loves to keep them up the sleeve. When the blinkers go on first up, he's showing a lot of intent.
And this horse has a good fresh record. He's, I think, 6 starts.
And I think the stable don't mind having a bet either. Those connections, they do tend to. The day that he won at Warwick Farm was a genuine plonk first up.
Was indeed. Indeed. I wonder if the blinkers back on at this stage means that he's struggling a bit.
Yep.
So there's a couple of ways of working. All right. Yeah. I played a straight bat with him as far as he's concerned. I've said, you know, obviously he's not jumping off the page at me because he's been away and he's missed a couple of times.
Yep. Is Le Cordon Bleu a false favourite, 440?
Well, he's just a horse. He's just pretty, and it's sort of an average horse, I think. But you know, 1100 is his go, and he's probably rock solid. He's thereabouts. So I marked him a 7-1 chance. I think he's got a good hope. But
you can't take the shorts because you're out to a big price. You don't need him beating you at a big price either.
No, the horse that I'd be interested in backing here is Saboog, who's resuming at home, and after that inglorious run first up at Gosford, his 3 runs after that were all faultless. You know, they were well, holding off deploy comfortably at Canterbury, and then holding his rivals at bay at this course and distance in the midweeks, and then he raced outside the lead in a very, very competitive Brian Crowley.
But if the rain comes, you worried? Does that fail come in the wet, or was that because he had a fractured pelvis, or what was that?
They won't run.
Yeah. They won't run. So
no.
he won't run. He's not worried. Fair enough.
Anyway, that's the program. There are a few ifs and buts. That's that time of year, really.
Do we need to do anything else here on the show?
Yeah,
What else do we need to talk about? You're going to steer me around the park.
We got any tournaments?
We do have a $25,000 tournament on Saturday, which is obviously a big play for anyone who wants to get involved. $110. Get on to topbetter.com.au, and they're gearing up for a couple of big tournaments leading into the carnival.
Those are over 50,000.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on the details yet, but
they're going to build up to a $50,000 and possibly $100,000 one. In about a month's time. As we get closer into the carnival, I think the tournaments get bigger.
That could be our prep work for the preview show next time to make sure that we know what's going on.
Any best bets on the card from you, Mark, Brent?
For me, I'd have to say probably Painted Firetail would be my best bet, and another Cocktail. They'd probably be the two that I'm landing on. Not a lot of juice there, but I think both, if they're given every opportunity, look to be horses that could get the job done there tomorrow.
What about you, Mark?
Well, you might have to wait till 1269 Talking Sport comes around this afternoon. But I'm quite keen on Solicit tomorrow, so hopefully she can get the job done for me. I should say that I'll be covering Kembla tomorrow as well as Rose Hill. My sheets contain a trading sheet to begin with, where I make a few suggestions in each race as to which way the market will go. A bit like Aaron Macey's market movers. So look out for my sets for Rose Hill and Kembla tomorrow. And what else is there to say? I'll be actually at Flemington tomorrow, poking around. Yes.
Busy man.
Have you done a form?
I have not. It's all ahead of me.
It's all ahead of you. No, I'm Painted Firetail. I think she's the best bet on the card. Suited, very well suited. And I think if you can get the $15 could have been each way. I think that's a good each way bet in the fillies race.
You heard it here first.
And I'm away for 3 weeks in the States. I'll see you later.
Enjoy, Aaron, enjoy. Well, that wraps up our first edition back in 2016 for the Sydney preview show. Good luck at Rose Hill tomorrow.
And we'll see you for a putter.